welcome back to old Sydney town. How's it feel to be not quite your hometown, but just about, right?
Yeah, it feels great. Besides the weather lately, it's been freezing and raining, but it's been great to be back. Pretty full on with basketball training and all these media stuff, but it's been awesome.
Okay, why the move back to the Sydney Kings now? Signed for 3 years too.
Yeah, I feel like Sydney's always been my basketball home. Obviously, I had to pursue my dreams to go to the NBA, and that didn't work out. And I got released kind of midway through the season for the NBL, so I thought Japan was my best option.
Yep.
And I thought it was the right time to come back, especially with Goorj coming back. And the boys having a bit of a struggling year last year, so I'm excited to be back.
How much did you follow that? Because just to remind listeners, premiership or championship, then you leave, and during the course of that time, you're the league MVP, you're the finals MVP, and then go and do your thing in the NBA. How much were you following the travails of the Sydney Kings last year?
Yeah, I watched every game.
Right.
Yeah, I watched every game. But, I mean, it wasn't just me that left. A lot of guys left.
Sure.
It wasn't just me that. But, I mean, it didn't work out for the boys, and they tried their hardest, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah. What is it about the Brian Goorjian factor that was, or how much of that was a part of you coming back here to Sydney?
Yeah, huge. I mean, Brian's an unbelievable coach. I mean, he has all the accolades in the NBL and around the world. And when I found out he was coming back, I was really excited for it. I had my first taste of Goorj's coaching at the Boomers program last year, and just like his attention to detail and the little things are really exciting, and how he can like transform an organization's unbelievable. Just seeing what he did in Wollongong a couple of years ago, where they were really struggling, and they kind of had a buzz in Wollongong again about basketball, and seeing what he can do in Sydney, I'm really excited about.
He sat in that chair about 3 months ago, and it just had this energy and enthusiasm about him. And then he went, "Oh, hang on, he's over 70."
Yeah,
like it's pretty
crazy.
Yeah,
I think he's over 70.
Is he like that? Because
every day
he actually made a point of saying, "I wanted to stay fit and be fit because I expect the same of my players, so I need to do that as well." How engaged is he with during training sessions, etc.?
Oh, very much so. I mean, I've only been with him for the last week or so at the Sydney Kings, but even at the Boomers camp, Goorj is always in there at 8 a.m. doing weights with his little pre-workout before the day. He's in there pumping weights and getting swole, and that's good to see for us players that he's on the grind as well and enjoying it and spending more time with him. It's pretty cool.
All right, before we get to the Boomers stuff, let's go stay with the Kings. So big year coming up with the new coach, Cam Oliver. Is announced. Can you tell us more about the US import Cam Oliver that was just announced 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I remember when Cam played in Cairns. He gave us trouble all year round. Super athletic, can space the floor, gets after it on defense. I'm really excited about him. He's a really mobile big, and I think this team's really going to specialize on the defensive end. I think that in the last couple of years in the NBL, the success comes from defense, and he's going to bring that presence down low as well, and I'm excited about that.
What about the NBL reputation in your time over in Japan and time over in the US? We get pretty proud of it here, right? And we want to talk it up, and we start talking about it as the second best league outside of the NBA. What's the talk over there in the NBA and Japan about the NBL?
Yeah, everyone loves it. I mean, I think the first thing that stands out is our pace of play. We play a real fast-paced game, which is really similar to the NBA. We're high-scoring games. And the second thing is we really get after it. We only play 28 games a season, so we have a whole week to prepare for games. And when we go in there, we're really energized compared to some of these other leagues. Like when I was in Japan, we played almost 70 games. The NBA plays 82.
Yeah.
So it's a big comparison in that the workload. So when we play our hardest, and it's kind of entertaining for the fans.
Yeah, right. How many games did you play in Japan?
I played about 50-odd.
Wow.
Yeah, we play Japanese B League. We also played in the East Asia Super League, and then you also play in the Emperor's Cup.
Yep.
So there's a lot of leagues going on.
How did you find that? Because that is you talk about the strength of the NBL game and the pace, and then there's a lot of people who say, well, we should play more games, or we should play 12-minute quarters still at 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't believe in 12-minute quarters because we're FIBA. It's FIBA basketball. We play 10. But I do believe in playing a couple more games. But I mean, Japan, it was kind of OD for a little while. When I first got there, we play Wednesday and then Saturday, Sunday. And a back-to-back isn't always the healthier thing on your body. And it took some time to adjust. So my first month there, I was constantly sore, limping around town. And then you kind of get adjusted to it. But I think a mixture between the two would be awesome.
Do you think that's going to help your game in the NBL, that physical nature and the stress that it put on the body?
I hope so. I think another thing that helps out is the physicality in Japan. It's a really physical league, a lot bigger bodies over there. So hopefully I can bring that back to the NBL without getting too many fouls. So we'll see about that.
All right. So what about the rest of the squad that's forming? And I know there's some more pieces to the jigsaw puzzle that are to come, but what are the expectations for you and the Kings for the upcoming season?
I'm really excited. I mean, just his first week being at practice, seeing Bull Quoll get after it.
Yeah.
He's an unbelievable athlete, an unbelievable talent, and a really good guy. He's in there every day, one of the first guys in there, lifting after. He really gets after it and really takes pride on the defensive end, like I said, which is it goes a long way in the NBL. Like when you look at Tasmania, who won the championship this year,
Yeah.
they're one of the best defensive teams. And Bull's been one of the best defenders in the league for a while when he sets out of foul trouble, but he's an unbelievable talent.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so Kings, we're very excited about that. If you want to get yourself a season ticket, get on the website, sydneykings.com.au. Let's go to the Boomers. What's coming up now? I think I'm right in saying there's a squad of 17. That's got to be trimmed to a squad of 12.
Yep.
How does that process play out, Xavier?
Oh, it's a very stressful process, I'll tell you that much. But we all go down to Melbourne around the 24th or the 25th, and we start camp. And we have about a week of camp and pretty much try to show how you can go out there and which players gel well together, which guys can get after it. And from there, it's cut down. We play a practice game in Melbourne against China, I believe 2 of them. And from there, it gets cut down to 12. And then we go over to, I believe, Dubai to play some more practice games before France. But it's going to be a stressful month, but I'm really excited for it. The stakes are high, and the Olympics is the coolest thing in the world.
So you're coming off the 50 games, and then you have to get yourself physically up to get to the camp before you even then get yourself physically up again to get to the Olympics. How has that been, just from a physical standpoint?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, after the season finishes, you try and take some time off to get the body 100%, and then you get back into it. So this last 2 weeks at Sydney has been unbelievable, especially it's such a privilege to have Gorge here in Sydney to push you, and you kind of can read him, like what he wants from you at that camp and all that kind of stuff, kind of gives him inside knowledge, but it's been great. It's been great.
All our NBA stars will be there at that camp. They'll all be back.
Yeah, not Ben Simmons, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm just looking at that. Dante Exum, of course.
Yeah.
Josh Green playing.
Just finished tonight.
What did you make of that, just while we got you there, with the Celtics winning?
I mean, credit to Celtics. They've probably been the best team all year long.
Right.
They're a great defensive team.
Yep.
They all 5 of them defend on the court, and they're all threats on offense as well. Whereas Dallas had a little bit of struggle with the offensive game a little bit and defense as well. But, I mean, it was not going to lie to you, it was kind of a boring series. There was 4 blowouts in it. But, I mean, Dallas did a great job to make it to the finals as a, 6 seed, whatever they were. So credit to them boys.
Okay, we will ask you. You can't have an ex-NBA player in the house and not ask further questions about that. But I want to stick with the Boomers. How influential still are guys like Paddy Mills, Joe Ingles within this squad, and what's it like to be in their sphere when they're on the verge of representing Australia again, as they so famously did in Tokyo, winning that bronze medal?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, they have a huge presence on the team.
Yep.
Some of the boys were just over in Orange County in California. Did a little training camp over there. A lot of the American-based players did, and just like to hear their feedback about the culture. A lot of the younger guys that were there, like Tui, Rocco from Brisbane, they went to the camp as well. And just hearing the inside of the culture kind of got me excited to be at the Boomers program again. Matisse Thybulle flies in this morning, so I'm excited to catch up with him. But those guys have an unbelievable presence. And, I mean, that kind of mentality going to those camps is kind of motivating to be around. Every single one of their players is going to be giving 100%, and they're excited to be there, and they're giving it their all, and it's unbelievable to be around.
It's such a difficult decision that Brian Goorjian is going to have to make. You know, you're going to have 12 players who are absolutely ecstatic with you, and then 5 who are disappointed. What are the conversations that he's had with you thus far about your involvement within the squad?
Just to go have a good camp. You know, I feel like everyone's still, the team hasn't been picked at all, and no one's a guaranteed spot, so go out there and give it your all. And you know, just kind of what he wants from me as what kind of role I could play for this team is big. But after the World Cup, he kind of gave everybody a personal call to try and give feedback on what they did well and what they need to work on moving forward. So a couple of things from there, and I'm excited for it though. You
had a good World Cup too, right? So you'd be happy with that. He would have been happy with that.
Yeah, I was solid some games. Some games I wasn't great defensively. There's always things to work on, but I had a couple of good games.
All right. Who are the other guys that you get on well? You mentioned Matisse. You're catching up with him. Your old teammate DJ Vasiljevic is in that squad. Famously, he left out Josh Giddey for the last Olympics and included Josh Green, which Josh Giddey had this incredible first couple of years in the NBA. Who are the other guys that are your mates within that squad?
I mean, to be honest with you, the whole group's really close. I grew up playing with DJ, Jack McVeigh. They're my age group.
Yep.
At Boomers camp, I usually hang out with Duop, Josh Green, Matisse a lot, Dyson, Giddey. Pretty much the whole team's really close. It's a really good bond.
Duop had an incredible year.
Unbelievable.
I
mean, huge credit to him. I mean, he's kind of had a hard path to the NBA.
Yes.
He played in Lebanon, I think China, the NBL. He had to go the hard route, and he got there and then made the most of it, especially being on a two-way at first. And DeAndre Ayton, I believe, got injured, and he made the most of his opportunity and played well and got a 3-year deal from it. So credit to him.
Absolutely. That is awesome. 1300 01 1170. The text line 0457 736 736. Sydney Kings star Xavier Cooks, our special guest. Can I also say that you returning to Sydney, Xavier, are you going to wear the same number 10?
I hope so.
Right.
I hope it's not taken.
And the reason I say that is you're going to save mums and dads lots of money because every second jersey at a Sydney Kings game had Cooks 10 on there. And then when you left, I'm like, ooh, okay. But now you're back with the number 10.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether the ownership group's going to be so happy with that. They might put you in a different number.
Try
just
and make some more money.
Absolutely.
No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that.
We'll see. All right. Get the text messages coming in, 0457 736 736. After the break, we're going to ask Xavier about his time in the NBA and what he learned. Stick around. You're listening to Afternoons on SEN. Back to the show. Sydney Kings star Xavier Cooks, special guest in the studio, spent time over with the Washington Wizards, played in the NBA. Give us an understanding of what that experience was like for you, Xavier.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, whenever you're honoured to play in the NBA, it's the biggest privilege in the world. And it was a dream, and it was a short-lived dream, but I loved it over there. It was awesome to, compete against the best players in the world and challenge yourself every day, and that was awesome.
A couple of stars you mentioned, Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis, who's now a champion of the NBA. What was it like being in the in their presence?
Yeah, I mean the first week was a little bit. I was kind of in awe. You know what I mean? You hear so much about Brad and Porzingis and Kuzma and those kind of guys, and then after the first week, you settle down. And they're just your teammates, and they were actually real cool, humble guys. Like I thought they were all going to have egos, but they were real just down to earth, having fun. They were good dudes.
Yeah, right. And what about the city? We were talking about the city. Maestro, our producer, has spent time there. I spent a couple of days there. Beautiful city,
Beautiful,
Washington.
yeah, awesome. Especially during the cherry blossom season, unbelievable. With all the museums and monuments around town, there's so much to do. Georgetown's not too far. Arlington, Virginia's not far. Like it's a great little city.
The Korean War Memorial, which is just down from the Washington Monument, that was one of the things I went to, and I went, wow, this is absolutely spectacular. Moment in the NBA when you pinch yourself and said, "What is this really happening?" Was there a game? Was there a post game?
I mean, the whole service over there is unbelievable. You pull up in the car, straight to the private planes. That's pretty cool. But I think the moment just playing against Giannis was probably my biggest eye-opening moment. Just because I'm a big fan of Giannis, and I have a pretty similar game style. He's just better at everything. But
and bigger, right?
And bigger, stronger, faster, athletic. Everything. But just playing against him was awesome. And just watching his pre-game routine was pretty cool, and all that kind of stuff.
It'd be hard not to watch, right? If you're warming up your end of the court and you're like, hang on, there's a guy that I greatly admire, and he's over there warming up. What about the owner, Ted Leonis, is it? Did you have much to do with that? Like, how did that play out?
Yeah, not too much. I mean, owners are usually far above our pay grade. We have a lot to do with our GMs. They kind of run the team. But the owner just funds the teams. But we had a couple dinners with Ted. He seemed like a great guy, but not too many personal conversations.
Yeah, right. Would you go back, NBA, if it came calling again?
Oh, for sure. It's the biggest dream in the world to be able to play in the NBA and compete against the best. I would love to, but you never know.
Boston are the champs. What did you make of Boston? You mentioned earlier. And the other thing about it is, too, these guys are going to be flying in soon. But Josh Green and Dante Exum playing in that final series, that's going to do enormous things for their game, right?
For sure. I mean, they both have unbelievable stories. Dante's first year back in the NBA from over in Europe, and he had a great year. Shot the ball really well, got downhill, created. And Josh Green being one of their best defenders on their team and having a huge role on their team was unreal. To be able to make it all the way to the finals while both of them having a huge role was awesome to watch.
You were talking about Luka. Is there a player in the league where you think who stands above all others?
In the NBA?
Yeah.
I think there's a top tier of like 20 players that are above everybody else, but they're all special generational talents. I think Luka, for him to be 25 years old and have, 5-time All-Star, all those kind of accolades is unbelievable, especially for his age. And the way he plays so mature and so slow and so composed, and he's awesome to watch besides his flopping.
Yeah, yeah, right. Was there one that stand out as, like, this guy's off the charts athletic?
Oh, I mean, another one on my team, we had Daniel Gafford. He plays for Dallas now, and he's a 6'10", 5-man, but probably one of the most athletic bigs in the league. And
Right.
I remember my first day walking to practice, and everyone's like, the NBA is way more athletic. And seeing him the first day, I was like, oh, man, I'm in trouble. But it was awesome.
Well, Xavier, it's great to have you in, mate. I really appreciate it. You've got a massive year coming up for the Sydney Kings. It's a return for you, one of the favourite sons of the Sydney Kings. So it's great to have you back there. In between that, you've got this campaign that's going to be coming up for the Boomers. We wish you all the very best for the camp. We know you're going to make that squad. You'll be over there in Paris for the Olympics, which must be. Is that a dream come true?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I used to love the Olympics growing up, and whenever you can play for your country, it's the biggest honour in the world. So that's such a dream.
Well, it brought Andrew Gaze, who went to 5 Olympics, to tears last Olympics when the Australian men's basketball team won a bronze medal. We'd love to see Gazy in tears again. So,
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I said, really appreciate your time. Wish you all the very best with what's coming up for you over the next month.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Xavier Cooks, he's a gentleman and he's an out-and-out star. All right, we better break. After that, we are back with more, including we've got the 2 o'clock flock, so give us a call.